6 p.m. in Babichwa, that is in the west region of Cameroon. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. The Kumba 3 Divisional Officer, Ngale Alfred, narrowly escapes death after his house got attacked yesterday evening by unknown armed men suspected to be separatist fighters. The attack was foiled following the prompt intervention of the Rapid Intervention Battalion B, who rescued him and his bodyguard. And still in the southwest region, the killing of 3 civilians and the burning of their vehicles in Muya, situated in Boya subdivision, reinforces the 2 weeks lockdown imposed by separatist fighters. In some parts of Boya today, several stores remained closed with streets deserted. We'll be showing you how the town of Boya looks like a day after the unrest. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you so much, dear televiewers, for choosing Equinoxe Television. The senior divisional officer for the Mehmet Division says the people of Mabanda saw the armed separatist fighters who came to kill the divisional officer of Kumba 3 subdivision, but could not report to the competent authorities. The SDO was talking on the scene of the incident in Mabanda, Kumba 3, after the attack linked to armed separatist fighters. We have details with our reporter, Fomi Armstrong Sanda.
On the incident scene, the senior divisional officer for the Mehmet Division, Tundong Shambalen, accused and blamed local inhabitants of Mabanda for failing to report the presence of armed separatists to administrative officials.
And I don't want to hear again that those boys then here in Mabanda native is very painful. Your own village, Masa, your own village. Your village. Even the ancestors are there taking care of you, are going to give strength to you to fight. I cannot come and take my due to stay with you. And people are moving with gun in the village to come and kill him. They are not reporting to the forces of law and order for them to intervene. It means that there is a problem somewhere.
The divisional officer's residence was attacked between 7:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on Thursday, September the 7th, 2023. The armed individuals took refuge around the Dio's residence and opened fire as he drove into his residence. The senior divisional officer says the attack on Ngale Alfred Mande was carried out by armed separatist fighters who retrieved after the intervention of soldiers of the Mabanda base of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, the B.
That notwithstanding, the forces of law and order will continue to target them. There were no many. They were hiding, you see, just let them be reassured that very soon they are going to be touched. They are going to be touched, and seriously.
But before the arrival of the B, the attackers were held in a sustained gun battle by the soldier on duty at the Dio's residence, here congratulated by the SDO for the Mehmet Division, according to Mehmet administrative sources. The attackers left the main gate of the residence of the divisional officer destroyed, though with no human casualties recorded.
And while calling on the population to collaborate in the fight against separatist fighters, the senior divisional officer Tundong Chamberlain says the videos circulated by separatist fighters online are fake. Let's take a listen to the SDO in this excerpt.
It shows them, one, to be vigilant, second, to collaborate with the forces of law and order and the administration. I can testify that those people who came were no bad spirit. They saw them coming, but nobody reported to the competent authority for them to take the appropriate measures. Now they are Amazonia left and right, and not telling lies, and spraying the fake videos on social media. And you know it. When the incident happened, it was already dark. The one they are showing happened during the day. It's a very old video for those who are following the crisis.
Tundong Chamberlain, Senior Divisional Officer for Memed Division, speaking there. And activities are yet to fully regain steam in parts of Boya subdivision, precisely from Bonduma to Muya, where 3 persons were killed with 2 burnt in a car on Thursday by armed separatist fighters, imposing a 2-week lockdown against school resumption. Shops are still closed with this Friday, and the Muya market with just few people selling as compared to the OIC market, Clark's Quarters and Bukwango, where activities are booming. We have details with Innocent Aze.
Boya got up Friday with 2 faces after Thursday's savagery that shocked denizens. On the first phase of Boya subdivision could be seen ghosted shops. Business premises remained closed in Boduma, Malingo and Moya in particular.
They say as from Saturday and Sunday we can say, but any other days more not come for it.
In the Moya market, completely deserted on Thursday, could be spotted a handful of persons selling. Only few taxis and vehicles could be seen circulating, people trekking and state forces parading the streets. At Mile 17, Moliko, UB Junction and the checkpoint, the scenario was the same. Closed shops. The woman we met at Moya expresses frustration over the education of her children and standards of living.
Not easy at all. You cannot fit with the suffer for the ghost towns. Because the day inside house, but they begin for go school, the day backwards. So if I begin any man for this side for Douala, I would not move my family go again for day. Today too, it is still bad. Because no buy another day has a stand for yes. So I want to transfer this plum for go down for OIC. So what if he help myself, make my life better small.
As she said, OIC and its markets are busy giving Boya its second phase. It is similar case at Clark's Quarters, Bokwango, where business activities are booming, life going in total serenity. If these areas face no security threat, denizens in the dark face of Boya, from Boduma down to Moya, battle for survival, like this IGP woman who depends on her plum business to take care of her children. Pray for week 2, being the last week of the separatist imposed lockdown, to elapse so that they can resume their activities normally.
From the southwest region, we now move to the northwest region, where a man suspected to be in his mid-40s has been found dead in Bamenda. He was found dead about 500 meters away from his home after it rained a while ago. Reports say the man, popularly known as Samba, was spotted earlier today taking a stroll at Behind Chair neighborhood in the Bamenda 2 subdivision. It is not yet clear what might have transpired, but his family are now saddened as a result of that incident. And from Bamenda, we now take you to the central region of Cameroon, precisely in Yaoundé, where wild flames have engulfed the building hosting the Yaoundé 6th Council in the Acacia district. The cause of the inferno is still unknown at the moment. Despite the presence of elements of the firefighting brigade, the flames continued spreading to other parts of the building, resulting to enormous material and financial damages. Investigations have been launched to shed more light on what must have triggered the inferno. And from Yaoundé, we take you to some other news where hundreds of demonstrators stormed the streets of Woba in the Mayo-Saba division of the Far North region. They were protesting against the illegal arrest of some of their brothers during a land dispute. They are calling on the government to release their brothers who for some time have been detained without any court session, and with some of the court sessions adjourned severally for no just reason. We have details with Esielu Siliengo.
Holding placards carrying messages of no to corruption, fighting for our rights, enough is enough, hundreds of people from the Woba locality in Mora on the streets denouncing the illegal arrest of their brothers.
Nos frères vont souffrir, ils ont des enfants, ils ont la famille, ils ont les champs. Ce sont les responsables. Pourquoi nous sommes les Camerounais?
The tension emanated from a land dispute that occurred few weeks ago, which cost the lives of 2 people and several others injured. According to them, the dispute led to the arrest of 4 people who are still in detention without any judgment. They arrested our people and they are keeping them in prison without any judgment. It is illegal. We are fighting for their release. It is not a war, but a peaceful protest for all. They protested through the streets of Woba and they stormed the premises of the senior divisional officer of Mayo Sava and the D of Mora, demanding for the immediate release of their brothers. That is why we are on the streets. Let the government take this into consideration. If they are not released, we will continue until our last energy, our words. Unfortunately, they were not received by the administrative authorities, but they promised to come out massively in the days ahead if nothing is done.
And out of our frontiers, after having lost the 2016 presidential elections in Gabon, Raymond Dong-Sima has now been appointed interim prime minister by General Brice Oligui Nguema. But who is Raymond Dong-Sima? Our reporter Cedric Chakotio has answers.
After being sworn in, General Brice Oligui Nguema appointed Raymond Dong-Sima as prime minister of Gabon. Having done his studies in France, Raymond Dong-Sima was born in Oyem in the north of Gabon. And in 1986, he was appointed to the cabinet of the Minister of Planning and Economics. He was also given responsibility for structural adjustment and relationships with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Continuing his way as a member of the government, he served as general manager of Harvey Gab, a company of state-owned rubber from 1994 to 1998. Moreover, on the 17th of October 2009, Dong-Sima was appointed to government as Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Rural Development. Again, during the legislative elections of December 2011, Dong-Sima was elected to the National Assembly as candidate in the Kie, a province of Willy Tem. In addition, under the leadership of Ali Bongo, he was appointed Prime Minister on the 12th of February 2012. But in July 2015, Dong-Sima left his party, complaining that the party was not open to criticism and different points of view. He also criticized the government handling of finances since his departure. But then, during the presidential elections of 2016, he will present himself but will lose with 0.4 votes. Raymond Dong-Sima leaves the opposition coalition and will be appointed Prime Minister of the Transition by General Brice Oligui Nguema on September 7, 2023.
And now to our sports page. Cameroon has qualified for the quarterfinal of the 24th edition of the Men's African Nations Volleyball Championship as they defeated Burundi today. And in football, Olivier Kemen has joined the other players of the national football team as they continue to prepare for the clash against Burundi. Our sportsman, Smajikan Gabriel, reports.
The senior men's national volleyball team have sealed a quarterfinal place at the Men's African Nations Volleyball Championship. The Volleyball Lions defeated Burundi 3-0, 25-14, 25-14 and 25-13. It was the vice champions' third win of the tournament in 4 matches. Cameroon lost to Libya 3-1 in their last group match. The winner of the 24th edition of the Men's African Nations Volleyball Championship, taking place in Egypt, alongside the runners-up and the third-place teams, will represent Africa at the Men's World Volleyball Championship in 2025. Finally, in football, Cameroon's national football team has intensified its training session in Garoua as they prepare for the crucial AFCON qualifiers against Burundi. The Lions had their first warm-up session on Garoua soil Thursday with Olivier Kemen, who has been injured, joining the team's training session for the first time. On their part, Cameroon's opponent, the Swallows of Burundi, were also at the Omnisport Stadium in Bepanda to continue with their preparation. No player is injured. Cameroon needs a victory or a draw of at least 4 goals to qualify for AFCON in Ivory Coast.
And still in sport, lineal MMA heavyweight champion Cameroonian-born Francis Ngannou says with the size of Tyson Fury, just a punch will get him the title. Francis Ngannou was speaking during a press conference that took place in London to talk about the battle that comes up on October 28, 2023 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Magic and Gable once more.
Cameroonian-born professional fighter Francis Ngannou met with his opponent Tyson Fury in London for a press conference ahead of the highly anticipated fight between the two. Francis Ngannou is confident and says he is not under pressure.
Why should the pressure be in somebody? Hey, listen, man, I think at this point of life, I'm living a dream. Yeah. I'm enjoying, you know. One thing that I make sure, the only pressure that is on me is to give everything, to put out the work that I can do everything that is in my position, and I'm doing that, so I'm good.
Francis Ngannou, who is the former UFC heavyweight champion, will be challenging Tyson Fury, who is the current WBC heavyweight champion in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, come October 28, 2023.
I mean, I have a fight coming up, but first of all, I'm very excited and I'm very happy, you know, from having this dream since I was a kid to become a boxer, and today it's not just I'm going to box, but I'm going to box the guy in the peak of on the mountain, you know. So for me, I mean, usually I will not pay attention of what's going around, but this thing is so big that I can stop thinking about it.
It will be the first time Tyson Fury will be returning to the ring since December 2022, while it will be Francis Ngannou's debut in the boxing ring. Tyson Fury remains undefeated in 34 fights.
And that's a criticism that's always thrown at him.
And that's where we'll put a cap to the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. And on today's edition of A Talking Point, I'll be receiving a human rights activist and is known as Amadou Tante. I'll be talking about how the over 6-year-old armed conflict has affected the educational sector in that part of the country. Good evening to you, Mr. Emmanuel Tante. You have been soliciting for effective back to school in the northwest and southwest regions. Seeing all what is happening in both regions, 2 headmasters killed on Sunday in Bello Division, Northwest region. Another case is that of a Form 3 student shot by a stray bullet in Kumba in her house. The Bamenda 2 Special Branch Police Commissioner Asila Angos Eves equally got shot by armed men. The most recent case is a killing of 3 civilians in Moya, situated in Boya subdivision. You are advocating for back to school. Is it not the same as sending these children to their early graves?
Good evening, Immaculate Fogwe. I'm delighted to be guest on your program today. Of course, not Immaculate Fogwe. I think for some time now, for quite a long time now, we have been advocating for the use of advocating for go back to school. Despite the situation, it's true that the situation in this region is very tense, but we had about saying that the separatist fighters or leaders had politicized education and were using education to express or to boycott to education to express their political view, which is really unacceptable, because you cannot build a strong nation or a durable peace or a durable development in any country or any society in the absence of education. So that's why we have been advocating for return back to normalcy, and equal advocating for back to school, because whatsoever be the circumstance, whether the war is still going on or not, at least we have been praying for the warring parties to do everything possible to ensure that there is effective back to school, and they equally guarantee the protection, both parties equally guarantee the protection of all the children who are going to school, the teachers, and all the institutions that has to do with learning, because these are all civilian institutions or civilians that has to be protected as per both national and international norms. Permit me use this opportunity to extend my warm greetings to His Royal Highness from Fuenkanapel II of Baba Village in the Ngoko division of the Northwest region, whom I think is watching us live this evening. At least I'm delighted that the fund is back to school since on Monday. At least they're going back to school just to tell us that somebody, a fund who is leading more than 40,000 people, decided to go back to school, but no matter whatsoever be his status, just to tell you that education is the only thing that you can give a child, rather than giving the child a weapon.
I'd like to know, in which classrooms are these students expected to sit in? We have seen reports of burned schools with some others abandoned. Aren't you preoccupied by the necessity of studying in a conducive environment for these kids?
We are all aware of the situation, but I don't think there's lack of infrastructure, because we still have infrastructure. It's true that even the separatist fighters themselves have declared that it's only mission schools and lay private school that has to go on, including community school. They have prohibited the use of any government school for school. But I think that we still have some. We cannot say that children to go out of to stay at home and do not go to school. Maybe because we have limited infrastructure. I think we have infrastructure that can still accommodate most of these children in these anglophone regions to effectively attend classes. Our only worry was the issue of was this lockdown, who have been preventing them from going to school. So that's why we have been calling on these separatist fighters to do everything possible to prevent the use of the politicized of the use of education to express their opinion and to allow these children to go to school, because we had the privilege to go to school, and that is exactly why I'm talking here today. Had it been I never went to school, I don't think I would have this privilege to be guest on your program, which is it stands to education. So whatsoever be the circumstance, because you know that the condition might not really be the best, but it's still not bad. So they have to go to school, because we know that very well that when you especially a parent or a father that does not send a child to school is preparing a time bomb, a bomb that will explode in the future. And when you explode, the parent will definitely be the first victim. And permit me say, use this quote from Nelson Mandela, who once said that the best legacy that you can bequeath to a child is nothing but a qualitative and quantitative education. That's the only thing you can give a child, and it's guaranteed that that child will be used tomorrow to develop the nation, to develop the society, whether it is in Cameroon or wherever the child may find his or herself.
Now, a 2-week lockdown has been imposed by separatist fighters within the spirit of back to school. What extra security measures have been taken to assure the safety of these children who you are asking that they should go back to school?
We had initially called for the separatist fighters not to declare lockdown, because we know how risky it is. But when there is no lockdown, there's no possibility for these children to go to school, because everywhere there will no bike, there will no vehicle or anything as such to transport them to school. So we had, for me, I had earlier advised that in case now that they have declared a lockdown, it's preferable for these children to respect the lockdown, and after the 1 week or 2 weeks lockdown, they can go back to school, because I know quite well that it's not safe for them to go to school while there's lockdown. Why we continue to pray to the separatist leaders or fighters to make sure that they cease from doing anything possible that would disturb the children from going to school, like this lockdown. At least they should prevent any such thing from happening. At least we continue to tell them the importance of education. I think that it stands to our advocacy on daily basis on the media, that we have gradually seen a lot of children going to school. As we are speaking today, there are so many boarding schools in Bamenda that are effectively going on right now as we are speaking. And it stands to this advocacy and many other schools. It is true that the separatist leaders or fighters they have given some conditions, like they have said that there will be no wearing of uniforms, which I think is not a major problem, because I know that we don't go to school because we are putting on uniform. What uniform is just a clothes like any other clothes. They can wear their normal clothes and go to school, and they will still learn and follow and learn like other people from other regions. So our people are not supposed to left behind, because we know the consequences of these children not going to school. As we keep saying that the highest way of to preventing or silencing weapons or guns or proliferation of weapons in our community or in the world today is to send children to school, because that's the only thing we prefer to give a child a pen and a paper or book rather than giving a child a weapon.
We are still counting casualties in both regions. Recently, 3 persons were killed in Muya and 2 taxis burnt. Has the government done much to ensure the safety of children who are ready to go back to school?
Not at all. I think that we don't have any much time to waste. These children have already wasted a lot of time by staying at homes, and this is really a time bomb. I was in my village of recent. I saw some of the children who were out of school. Most of the children, they are not even the separatists, but they go about with knives and all the rest, attacking people along the way. So those are some of the effects of these children going out of school. And if they continue in that mode, we are preparing, as I said, a time bomb that will have to explode, and when you explode, all of us will suffer the consequences of such things. So that's why I'm saying that, pleading with the government and all the separatists to do everything possible to depoliticize the use of education to express their political opinion or their political view. It is true that the war is still ongoing, and we must have to sit on the table, as I was saying, to have a lasting solution. And these children should do everything possible to send these children to school, so that our people should not suffer tomorrow, because we know that there's another generation which is coming after us, and if those generation will be on educated generation, then our people are going to suffer for quite a very long time before things might come to normal.
You earlier said both parties need to hold an inclusive dialogue Should these children not wait for such a dialogue to hold before going back to school? You know, this for their safety, of course.
Well, let me first of all say that I know that normally internally displaced persons are being taken care of by the government, by the state, by the institution of Cameroon. Apart from those that have gone out of the country, like which are refugees, which are normally taken care by the United Nations Refugee Council, the government of Cameroon was normally supposed to do everything possible to ensure that these children are given scholarship to go to school. All those that are found internally displaced persons here to go to school, or they create a state institution where they. Not at all. I think that we don't have any much time to waste. These children have already wasted a lot of time by staying at homes, and this is really a time bomb. I was in my village of recent. I saw some of the children who were out of school. Most of these children, they are not even the separatists, but they go about with knives and all the rest, attacking people along the way. So those are some of the effects of these children going out of school. And if they continue in that mode, we are preparing, as I said, a time bomb that will have to explode, and when you explode, all of us will suffer the consequences of such things. So that's why we said, I'm saying that, pleading with the government and all the separatists to do everything possible to depoliticize the use of education to express their political opinion or their political view. It is true that the war is still ongoing, and we must have to sit on the table, as I was saying, to have a lasting solution. And these children should do everything possible to send these children to school, so that our people should not suffer tomorrow, because we know that there's another generation which is coming after us, and if those generation will be uneducated generation, then our people are going to suffer for quite a very long time before things might come to normal.
A report was aired on Equinoxe TV a few days ago, and we saw 2 students who had to flee from the conflict northwest region to here in Douala. Their reasons for coming to Douala was to pursue their education. Both of them stayed in their homes for 5 and 3 years respectively due to the over 6-year-old armed conflict. That seems to be a better option. But then, how many families can afford sending their children to other regions? What's your take on that?
Well, let me first of all say that I know that internally displaced persons are being taken care of by the government, by the state, by the institution of Cameroon. Apart from those that have gone out of the country, like which are refugees, which are normally taken care by the United Nations Refugee Council, the government of Cameroon was normally supposed to do everything possible to ensure that these children are given scholarship to go to school. All those that are found internally displaced persons here to go to school, or they create a state institution where these people are supposed to be educated. But it is unfortunate that we have not seen such thing from our government. Our government keeps telling us stories, keep on phone stories. Sometimes they tell us that I'm going to give them food. This food is not necessarily going to help them. With regards to the parents, of course, I know that things are very strong that way for the children to prepare these parents to send their children to school in the Francophone region, but not that strong. At least any parent who is determined to send a child to school would definitely do so. Most of us, like me, for example, I went to school not because my mother, for example, who had to take care of me, sponsor me in school, was rich. She had to grind cassava, fry gari and sell in the market for me to make sure that she pay my school fees. So this parent can still do the same. They go to a farm, poke their beans, their rice, cultivate their rice, and these rice are sold for these children to go to school, because I keep saying that nothing is more important today or more in our society. No, there's nothing that is much more important than education, because the education is just like a key, a universal key that can open all the doors or all the locks along your way, and that's the only way for us to preserve a long-lasting peace and development in our society, which is through the use of education. That's why we keep encouraging children to go to school and learn, so that we have a better children tomorrow. We have an enlightened Cameroonian tomorrow. We have Cameroonians who are reasonable, that will make sure that they develop the country tomorrow without any problem.
Are there any signs that the crisis will end anytime soon?
I have been actively, and I'm still very actively, more than 4 or 5 years today, particularly with the issue of the Anglophone crisis. We write our reports on daily basis, virtually on all the time, to make sure that we denounce, we will continue to denounce the use of violence or the human rights violation and abuses that is going on in Northwest and Southwest region. And we continue to pray that the government should do everything possible to make sure that they call the separatist leaders on a dialogue table, so that they can seek and a lasting end to this solution to the problem, not something like the major national dialogue, where I think the government invited their friends, not the real stakeholders, not that who are at the forefront fighting with the government. So when you have a problem, invite your enemies and sit with the enemies on the table and talk with them, not by calling your own friends to make your merry and all the rest, enjoy yourself and leave the place. Meanwhile, the problem will persist, and other people go about saying that normalcy has returned to the region. So we continue to say that normalcy has not returned to this region. The separatist fighters are everywhere. They have some of them have been killed. The defense and security forces are being killed, but we don't want this continuous bloodshed again, because every person that dies is a son of a Cameroonian, and the life of everyone matters.
Amadou Tante, Executive Director of Conscience African Northwest and Littoral Region, and equally a human rights activist. And that's all put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much, dear televiewers, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of Serge Alain Otto with the program Equinoxe Soir. Have a wonderful evening.